This week, one of the people who follows me at shadowanyone.com, which is my blog, sent me an email because he had a question, and I'd like to answer it for him here today. My name is Larry Kay with shadowanyone.com and the creator of the Investigator's Ultimate Guide series, premium private investigator training from someone who's been there and done that. And Sid emailed me, and he was a little bit concerned because he's in the middle of a expensive online private investigator quote-unquote school, and he had come across my video about my personal feelings about online private investigator schools. Now, I'm a big believer in getting online training, but I'm not necessarily a big believer of the online schools. And his concern was, now that he was into this expensive course, he says, well, I think I'm going to finish it because it's expensive and I'm into it. But he was concerned, he said, because a lot of the information seemed old. And, here's my thing. First of all, I'm glad you're getting some training. That's not a problem. Don't think twice about that. But here's the thing. A lot of investigative training, and I don't care if you get it from an online quote-unquote school that sends you PDF files once a week, if you get my training, DVDs or video training about private investigation work. I don't care if you take a live state certified type course from a licensed investigator. The information is going to seem old, and there's a reason for that. It's because the things that work really well, the tried and true things, have been used for, at this point, generations. Now, a couple generations ago, and even when I got into the business, I shouldn't exaggerate too much, even when I got into the business, it was shoe leather. You went down to the courthouse to pull records. You went out to this agency or to that place and pulled the records. And you would use pretext and those types of things to get the information that you want if it wasn't readily available. Nowadays, the information is so available online, but not completely, not the full thing. But for example, a court index will be online for most counties. So instead of having to go downtown and run a name through, literally microfinch when I used to do it, you can go online with a few keystrokes on the web, not even subscribing to a database, and look through the index and see if your subject is listed there in the criminal index, say, for example, of the lower court in your county. It saves you a lot of time. You can even find out maybe the disposition. Was the person found innocent or guilty? Now, I'm a big believer, and you still largely have to go down to the courthouse in order to pull those files to see exactly what happened. Some courts will scan PDF files and put them online so you can take a look, but largely they do not. And even the ones that do, honestly, they seem to hold back the good stuff. And I don't know if you can tell if you're not really in this business, but I can tell you the things that I want to see, the really detailed narrative reports and things like that, even the places that have them scanned and online don't seem to choose those reports, which are most valuable to me as an investigator, or maybe to an employer who's trying to make a decision, or someone who's doing a background check. So when you get private investigator training, a lot of it may seem old, but it's not. Now, there are always more up-to-date ways to approach things and do things. Again, you may not have to actually go down to look at the index now. You can do that online. But again, you probably are going to have to go down and actually pull files if you want any kind of in-depth information. One exception to where the information you receive in training is going to seem kind of new and up-to-date is social media searching. And that is going to seem up to date because there are all sorts of little tips and tricks of how to use a wildcard or how to search a particular website only instead of the entire internet and things like that. The trouble with those, and I mean, get that training, but I think a basic book, basic information on that is going to get you in the ballpark. But then you just have to keep up with that particular platform, that particular social media, because things do change. And if you got some big expensive training about social media, in 6 months or a year, a lot of it might still be applicable, but just the things change for that organization and that company. So the social media searching is going to seem new and up to date, but it's also going to change so quickly to be much less valuable than the tried and true old things. So Sid, and if I didn't mention it, Sid is who sent me the email. Don't feel bad that the information seems old. I will tell you, just within the last year, and I'm always looking to improve my training and learn things, just within the last year, I bought a book that had pretext predominantly listed in its title. I was very interested in this particular book because of that. And it was only $8. It's a bargain, no problem. I get it, of course. Paid a lot more than that for training over the years. But I got it. Opened it up when it arrived and was very disappointed, immediately disappointed. Actually felt kind of ripped off because the book was probably 80 or 90% the quote-unquote old stuff. Now, it doesn't mean it was not good stuff. It's very good stuff, but I've been doing this for a while now. I don't need to learn that. I don't need that basic stuff over and over again, and I bought the book under the presumption that it was going to deliver this strong, heavy book on pretext, and it just wasn't. I felt very ripped off, and it was only $8. This is you could leave that as a tip on a meal easily and not think twice about it. But I felt robbed. The next day, I picked the book back up. I started going through it a little more carefully and really reading through the relatively thin section on pretext. And lo and behold, I kid you not a page, not a paragraph, 2 sentences. There were 2 sentences in there, just an idea. And I said, wow, I was blown away. That was valuable. That was worth, and I kid you not, if you were to pay for the information that they were teaching you how to pretext from an information broker, I would have paid 10 times what I paid for the book just to get the information once. But now I have a key that unlocks this information for me over and over again, and it cost me $8. So when you get training, keep that in mind. The more you do this, the more you get into it, the more you'll realize sometimes you get a lot of training just to get that one little thing. And in any industry you're in, you're going to find this. Think of any hobby or interest you have. You might read an entire book looking for that just incremental edge, just that thing that's going to make you just that much better or give you that much of an edge. And over time, of course, that builds to where you're actually quite the expert in things. So Sid, don't feel bad. I think you probably got a lot of good information. Here's the key thing. If you go out and act upon it, if you take what you learned and used it, it's going to be valuable to you. And this is just the beginning. This is just your foot in the door. I think you're going to get a lot of value out of the training that you got, even though it wasn't from me. And I definitely wish you the best of luck. Send me an email anytime with any questions. This is Larry K, shadowanyone.com. Remember, do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.